And so if you start from 1990, come to 2011, it's 21 years. The kids that are graduating university today in China grew up learning English in the school system early in life, which gave them stronger English skills. So in America, this year, the last couple of years, we'll on average graduate 60,000 engineers, maybe 70. In India, which has a population of 1.2 billion now, in India, they'll graduate 240,000 engineers this year. And I can tell you it's harder to get into school in India than in America. It's just the competition is greater for kids. 240,000 versus 60. But in China, they will graduate 400,000 engineers. 400,000. 10% of the population of Croatia. 10% of the population of Croatia will graduate this year in China who speak English better than most people here in this country, and they have very, very sophisticated skills and degrees. And then some of them, and many of them, will go on to get PhDs. And so for people here, we're not competing against each other. It's a question of how do we leverage what we have and make the most of it. And that's my basic message here. If you make it easy for me to do business, and I don't mean that you break down the rules. I applaud the difficulty of me included, of having to build along the water. If I'm going to do something along the water, I should do it in a way that's pleasing to the eye. So for example, my winery I'm proposing here be underground, with only a small part above ground, so that we don't destroy the beauty of the sea. And as we build buildings here in Dubrovnik, I think it's terrible that we allow buildings to be built without tile roofs. If you go up the Eiffel Tower in Paris, Paris is a little bit bigger, and you look out at Paris, you see a consistency of rooftops. That used to be the case here in Dubrovnik. Let's not lose our charm. That doesn't mean we can't become more advanced. So if you make it easy and appropriate for me to do business, that will break down the perception, I believe, of corruption, because the corruption is not the person with the stamp. It's the person who says, I know the person with the stamp. And then we blame the guy with the stamp, saying, why did you have that person making me pay all that? Because I didn't know that person was stupid enough to pay you. And so those are the issues that our system, if we just tighten it up, get it right, get the administration right, I believe this whole region is a region where you can appeal to tourism and things that are related to tourism. That's why I think wine and cheese and prosciutto and other things you do really well, you could magnify that and create that kind of economy. Are you going to succeed in a people-to-people business? It's going to be hard. But you have to find a way to keep your youth here. If you lose the youth, you lose your country. And I can tell you that's a problem we have in America. Right now in America, we bring all these bright young people from around the world to our universities, the Harvards and the Princetons and so on, bring them all around. We educate them, and because of our concerns of terrorism, we make them go home. And we want to protect jobs in America. Those should be for Americans. What we don't understand is that, for me, I have to find the best people to bring the work to. If they're not in America, I don't care. We're opening up a center for technology in Malaysia because they have an incredible infrastructure of technology. We're doing more in Korea because they have the best technology platform in the world. When you looked at AIG's operation in Thailand, we earned in Thailand alone last year $400 million pre-tax in little Thailand because they're building an infrastructure. You come to Croatia, get on the internet, let's hope. So those are some of the challenges, but you got to be more technologically advanced, and then I can bring my work here. Because I could bring my work anywhere in the world at any time I want to with a high degree of security and reliability. So if you send that person back to China, send that person back to Korea, send that person back to Vietnam, and I need that skill, I will send the work to Vietnam because I don't have to build a big infrastructure to do that anymore. Because the country has built it for me. And so I can be as global as I want, and if America wants the jobs, they better find a way to change the immigration law and make it easy and convenient for kids to come and stay. And for Croatia, you got to make sure in this whole region of southeastern Europe, you got to find a way to keep the kids here with their heritage and their families, and that's how you begin to grow. I took way too long, and I apologize. I was going to open up for some questions, which I want to do. So that was my brief introduction, not so brief, but this is a huge subject to talk about. I'd love to answer some questions if we've got time.
Perfect. Yeah, we have time for a couple of questions if we keep them brief. The audience, any? Well, I have a question.
Sure.
And what I want to do is take you out of the Croatia experience directly for a second, take you back to your career in the United States, and ask you, what was the worst thing that happened to you or in your business life that you had to get through, and how did you do it?
Well, I would say the hardest time I ever had was in October of 1987. A lot of you may not remember that October 19th, 1987, but on October 16th, 1987, the stock market had gone down somewhere around 10%. And that was a big drop. 10% today would be that the Dow, you pick up the paper and says the stock market just went down 1,200 points. Imagine that, seeing that today, you say, whew, that's a lot. Panic. Well, that was Friday. And of course, come Monday, we did the work over the weekend, and come Monday, we thought we were in good shape for the next week. And then imagine the Dow today, using the Dow number, it goes down another 2,500 points. Can you imagine the stock market going down almost 3,000 points today? And that's what we faced on Wall Street. And we looked at that tsunami on Wall Street. And a lot of us, especially the firm I was at, was crippled, had some bad systems, and we didn't think we were going to make it. And what I learned is that I got through that crisis, and it's the power of people. And to me, the one thing I learned in 1987, it's been proven with MetLife, it's been proven with AIG, is that when you have a crisis and you have people who are given enormous freedom to act, just like the history of Dubrovnik, enormous freedom to act, and they choose to act responsibly, then people can do anything. And if you look historically, it's when we took the people and we closed them down, took away their information, took away their freedom to think and do. And you could do that in China. You could have done it in Croatia during the Tito period. There are many families today in Croatia I have met that are extremely successful because they made it through all of the trials and tribulations of living with a different system. They're able to do that. So when you just keep the human spirit feeling good about its future and optimistic, took me through a crisis that I did not think we can get through, which is what gave me the confidence to know that AIG will make it. Because it's about, at that point, 500,000 people. At our peak, we had over 500,000 people working for the company, and they have all delivered, and the company will actually pay back all of the money to the government, give the government a profit, and be left with AIG was the largest insurance company in the world. As we stand here today, it still is the largest insurance company in the world. So that's a testament to people.
Yeah, terrific. Well, let me follow that up then. That's a testament about human capital as well, too.
Right.
And one of the questions that was submitted from the internet was, is Croatia doing enough to invest in its human capital, its education, its training of people to build the Croatia of the future?
Croatia does an outstanding job of education, but what you've got to do is to, if you don't have hope, it's hard to get to tomorrow. And you all have to find ways of giving them hope that as you go through this education, there's a place to go to. They need a go-to. And that's where you've got to create opportunity here. You've got to show excitement. You've got to be able to show that you're attracting things, which goes back to some basics of supervising the judges, to get the real estate worked out, begin to get people putting buildings and businesses here, finding ways to have technology pockets. Look, we know the necktie came from here, but people don't know that Tesla was just up the road. So electricity was developed from somebody from this region. The fountain pen came from here. So we've been innovative before, we can be innovative again. But we do a lot of public education, but they need a place when they get out to go to. That's the problem in the Middle East today. The Middle East has done a far better job of educating kids today than 25, 30 years ago. But they haven't figured out how to give them opportunity. That was the whole problem in Tunisia and others. So we've got to find a way to not only educate them, but give them a chance to advance their life.
Yeah. Is there a question from the audience? Yes, in the middle. And do please introduce yourself.
Good morning. My name is Leslie Chulenta, and I'm with Deloitte Consulting and working for USAID on a project to develop the financial sector in the region. And you being an expert in the insurance industry, I'd like to ask you if you have thought much about the insurance industry in Southeast Europe. You probably know that it's very underdeveloped, very small. They don't offer a lot of a very large range of products and services. And I'd like to ask you what you think needs to be done to help build up the insurance industry, and if you could say a few words about how that would impact on economic growth. How does the insurance industry help to support economic growth, credit, and things like that?
Oh, I did look at the here in particular. I looked at it probably 8 years ago, so I haven't looked at it since. We do have a small AIG operation in Serbia on the commercial side, so we do sell some insurance in the region. But here again, it goes back to, if you're going to insure, you have to have confidence that if there's a disputed death claim, one of the things I take great pride in is we were the largest life insurer at the World Trade Center. We had 53 corporate customers there. We took a $400 million loss because of the loss of life and disability at the World Trade Center. And we didn't pay 7 claims out of the whole group, and we expedited it without paperwork, whatever. And the good news is that we still haven't paid the 7 claims because they were fraudulent. And we had a lot of legal support as we began to deal with that, and the team did a fabulous job of paying quickly. Checks were in the mail 2 days after the disaster to give to families and so on. So when I think about paying claims here and the legal system here, and to make sure that somebody didn't disappear and we don't know what happened to them, but they're hiding at their cousin's house because they need some money. And so you've got to be careful about claims management, understanding your mortality and the risks of your mortality. The other is you need a stronger middle class with more flexible income. The reason we're all excited about China, for example, in India, is the enormous growing middle class. And once you get to the point that you have something worth saving, then all of a sudden that becomes important. So people are thinking about, here you still have a lot of government support on your retirement, a lot of government support on your health care. It's difficult to make that affordable, and you don't have the income coming from, because you have a difficult tourism situation right now here in this region in particular, I think. So that without income, it's hard to keep maintaining it, and there's no need to privatize it because the government's trying to hang on to it. They won't be able to hang on much longer because it's not affordable. You can't do that. So as that need changes and you get better rules and regulations, then I think you could help foster growth, because as an insurance company, I have long liabilities. If I insure your life, that's over the next 30 to 40 years. I have to have investment way out in order to be able to achieve an investment return so that I have the money at the time we pay the claim. And that's why insurance companies are great for long-term investments in countries, and that's the benefit of us. So we would be good here, but you need to get the need better and the climate to do business better before we actually do that.
We'll take one more question if there's one more. Is there another? All right, well then join me in thanking Chairman Benmosche.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here with all of you.